It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Well, everyone, I'm excited. I'm going to be introducing you to a brand new diva to our family. Her name is Jessica Friesen. And Jessica, I'm just beyond excited because this is the very first time Jessica's been a part of our program, and I can't wait to learn all about her. If this is your very first time learning and being a part of the Divas That Care, we have been going now for, 11 seasons. We are listened to in over 30 countries around the world. And our show is about inspiration and empowerment. And we're just so excited to share stories about amazing women from around the world. So thank you so much for tuning in to our program today. Well, Jessica, welcome to the program. I'm so excited to have you a part of the Divas.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. You guys are doing phenomenal work, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you so much. Jessica, I have so many amazing questions for you today. But before we start, could you introduce yourself to all of our listeners?
Absolutely. So my name is Jessica Friesen, and I live in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario. I am the third-generation owner-operator of a petroleum company in Niagara. We have a chain of 14 gas stations, convenience stores, and we do petroleum delivery. Additionally, I am a chartered director. I am a registered nurse, not practicing right now, and I have recently become an author with the publishing of my first book.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Today, we're going to be talking about a book that you've just launched. And can you share a little bit about that? I'd love to hear what the title is and what the book is about and why you decided to become an author.
Absolutely. So the title of the book is This Will Not Break Me. It is about my personal journey with postpartum depression after I had my son 14 years ago. It is it changed my life. The experience after having my son changed my life. It was traumatic. It was intensely personal. It was very, very private. I had been practicing as a registered nurse for a number of years, and I thought that I had everything together. I thought that I was uber prepared to become a mother. I had always planned on being a mother. My husband and I had wanted to be young parents, and we were very fortunate. I became pregnant quite quickly. It was relatively easy for us. What we did not anticipate was the struggle that I had personally after having my son. So when my son was born, I reacted poorly to the painkillers. I took Demerol during the birth, and I reacted very poorly. I started hallucinating. I got very, very ill, and it affected my son as well. So he had reduced oxygen when he was born. He spent a couple of nights in the neonatal ICU, and it really was a crucial time right after the birth of my son to form those bonds and to establish, get your feet wet with being a parent. And everything for me was it was such a crazy time. It was isolating and it was scary, and I didn't know what was going to happen to my son. I didn't know how severe it was. And that really started me off in my parenthood and my motherhood poorly. But again, I was a registered nurse, so I expected that I could figure these things out. And when I brought my concerns to individuals, I brought them to people fairly timidly and shyly and tried to ask for advice. And I was constantly told, don't worry, you'll figure it out. Don't worry, we all go through it. You'll be okay. But nobody really gave me very much advice, no ironclad advice that I could really use to implement and to improve the situation. And so that really started me off on the wrong foot, and it spiraled from there. I struggled with breastfeeding. My son, typical newborn, constantly feeding him. I breastfed him, so I felt like a cow because you're just constantly on duty. It was a really, really tough time, and before I knew it, I had spiraled so far down that I was withdrawing from society. I was not going out in public unless absolutely necessary. I really wasn't leaving my house unless my husband was with me. I didn't feel that I was capable of taking care of my son outside of the intensely controlled walls of my house. I was terrified because of the decision that I had made with the Demerol, and this is one of the signs and symptoms of postpartum depression is your brain just kind of goes in overdrive, and you are thinking about the absolute worst case scenarios constantly. In my case, my brain was flipping from one concern to another concern. I couldn't focus long enough to figure out how to tackle anything in my life. And I mean anything. The only things that I could handle were feeding my son and changing his bum for a long time. And I hid that from everyone because I thought if people find out how poorly I'm struggling with this, they would intervene, and that intervention would be somebody taking my son away from me, or feeling that I was a bad mother, or feeling that, I have one child, how can I possibly, and I have one child, and if I'm struggling this poorly with the first one, how can I possibly have another one? So it was very erratic. It was very, very stressful. It was very scary. I didn't talk to anybody about it. And this was back in 2007. The internet was around, of course, but I didn't use the internet like I do these days. These days, I would just Google something and find an institution that could support me. And there are those out there. There's still not a lot for postpartum depression, but there are some. And, I would educate myself. I didn't do any of that. I didn't feel capable of doing any of that back then. It was all too much. It was too scary. I just had to make sure that my son was okay, and that is all I could handle. I had my son in June, and that was another element that really added to the spiral. In June, just like in school, everything is wrapping up. All of the programs that are out there for new parents are wrapping up for the summer. So through July, through August, there were, tidbits of sessions here or there where you could go and do a baby massage class or, do some kind of storybook session or whatnot. But it wasn't anything that was really structured, continual basis. So again, I didn't have, there wasn't a lot of structured support out there. I was the first one of my group of friends that had a child. I didn't know a lot of other young moms. And because of that lack of structure, of organizational support, I didn't have the opportunity to develop new friendships and meet other new moms for the first 3 months. And it wasn't until September, so 3 months after my son was born, that I was able to start registering for those kind of support systems. And when I finally met other moms and started to have those kind of open, honest conversations saying, I'm struggling with whatever, I'm struggling with breastfeeding, or I'm struggling with bottle feeding, or my child won't sleep through the night. When you're in a setting where you're surrounded by your peers and you can talk openly and honestly and just really say, I'm having a tough time. There's something about that kind of conversation that is so powerful. Being able to have that kind of a conversation and just say, motherhood is not what I thought it was going to be. Motherhood is hard. And as much as I care for my baby, I'm struggling. So it was a really tough period of my life. And it took me years to really grasp the gravity of that situation and how it really changed my life. So fast forward to 2019, and by 2019, I was the third generation owner of Gale's Gas Bars in Niagara, and I was a businesswoman, and I had done a lot of community work, and I am looked on as a community leader, and I take that very seriously. And I was given the opportunity to be the leadership sponsor for our local branch of United Way. And with that sponsorship, I was given the opportunity to say a speech at their kickoff breakfast. And they wanted me to highlight why I wanted to partner with them, and why others should want to partner with them. And I really took that very seriously, and I sat down and I really thought about it. And my personal ethos, my personal mantra in life is to make sure that the world is a better place because I was a part of it, to make sure that I do good work in this community and in the world, and that my children and one day my grandchildren can look back and say, wow, I am so proud that she was my mother. And so when I wrote that speech for the United Way kickoff breakfast, I really took that to heart, and I touched on my battle with postpartum depression in that speech. And the response that I had was overwhelming. There were women in the audience that were coming up to me after with tears in their eyes saying, wow, I am so grateful for you to be honest and open with us that you had this struggle. I did too. I received phone calls in the days following and emails in the days following. And I got to thinking, it's been, at that point in time, it had been 12 years since my son had been born. And I'm a pretty strong woman. I think I'm quite a strong woman. And I thought, if it's all conversation, if it just takes someone to put her story on paper or on radio or in television or whatever, I can do that. I'm okay with my history. I'm very comfortable with where I've come from and what I've gone through, and I can be that person that bears her soul, because that's really what this has felt like, if it's going to help others. And that's how my book came about. I took some real time, and COVID, with the lockdowns and whatnot, gave me some extra time. So I sat down and I wrote my book, and I've got a fantastic friend who is in publishing who was just an amazing support through all of this. And if I can plug Onera Media quickly from Niagara Falls, they are just phenomenal. And if you're publishing, call them. And, it's been a phenomenal process. And already, Candace, the response that I am receiving from people just on my social platforms that have learned about what I'm doing, it's really been overwhelming. And I think that this could help people, and I'm very proud of it already.
Oh my God, Jessica, I just want to applaud you, and I really want to thank you for coming on our program and talking about that. And honestly, I wish I had heard your story when I had my children too, because I think there was that stigma attached to things. And I look back now, and I think a lot of me did have postpartum depression, but I don't know if I didn't recognize it. I had, my 4 children in 6 years, and it was just very overwhelming. And I always say I had that fog, and I don't remember. But I think a lot of it had to do with it was just overwhelming. And when stories like yours come out, it makes you realize, oh, my goodness, I didn't see that, or I didn't want to acknowledge that, or, I'm scared of what people are going to think of me. And you're like, no, it's okay. This is my story. This is how I'm going to help the world. And you know what, honestly, I really think that your story is going to change a lot of people's lives. And I just want to say thank you so, so much for doing that.
Well, thank you. It's, it's taken a while for me but it's truly becoming the silver lining around what I went through. And I truly believe that society these days, to digress just a tiny bit, 100 years ago, families were much bigger than they are these days. Having 5 to 8 kids was normal. So saying, don't worry, you'll figure it out to a new mom, they would have had some kind of experience having raised kids in some capacity, whether that was watching their older brother or sister or their aunts and uncles or whatever. But these days, with smaller families, I was an individual where I had held only, a baby maybe a couple of dozen times before I held my son. So being told, don't worry, you'll figure it out in 2021 or in 2007, it's not okay. It's not enough. We have to be watchful. We have to support new parents, not just the moms, and we need to be able to step up and take action if necessary. And I think that really starts with conversation.
I do too. Thank you so much. I wish somebody would have said that to me too, because I was always told that you'll figure it out. You got this. And, at the time for my first daughter, I was a single parent doing it on my own, and I had no idea what I was doing. And it was kind of an overwhelming time. And you're right. We need to have that support system or, a way to check in and have that conversation. And this book of yours is going to change so many people's lives. And, thank you so much. What we're going to be doing to our Diva listeners out there, we're going to be sharing this on all of our social media, because I think it's really important to share that. And I think because I love what you're doing, I'm going to do a giveaway and get one of your books and do a giveaway to our listeners.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. Well, like I said, I hope if this can help one person, then it will have met my mark. But I'm really hoping that this is just the beginning of a bigger movement.
I think so too. And you know what? For all the stuff that has happened, obviously COVID was a good thing for you, because you were able to have the time to be able to write this out. And we are very thankful for that.
That's right. Yeah, you got to look at silver linings, right?
We do. We hear a lot of that out there. So Jessica, tell us, how our listeners can get a hold of your book. How can they support you in this endeavor? Because obviously you're going to be talking a lot more about this because it's very passionate to you. How can our listeners be a part of this with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Jessica Gale Friesen. You can go on my LinkedIn, Jessica Friesen, or you can visit my website. It's jessicagalefriesen.com. The book should be launched next week or the week after. It's just in its absolute finishing touches. And if you go on the website and sign up for updates, then you will be one of the first to know when it's available. Otherwise, you can email me, hello@jessicagalefriesen.com. That's Jessica, Jessica, Gale, Gale, Friesen, Friesen.
Perfect. And I will be posting that on our social media also. Jessica, one other question I do have is at the end of all of our programs, I usually ask my amazing guests if they have any tips, tools, things they want to share. And this can be related to, being an amazing woman in business, being a woman in leadership role, with family, anything you want to talk about.
So I think especially during COVID, it has shown me that you don't need to be perfect at everything. I think that it's important to set realistic expectations of yourself, to not overextend yourself, and to make sure that you prioritize your own health and your family at the same time. Because at the end of the day, your kids are only kids for a few years. And I can't believe it. My son turned 14 on Monday, and it's just mind-blowing that he's taller than me already. So, prioritizing yourself and your personal life is not a bad thing, and it should definitely be something that you continue to do.
I love that. Thank you so much. And that is amazing. I just want to mention that my daughter turned 15 on Monday, and she was my game changer also. So thank you so much for everything that you've done, Jessica. You are an inspiration. You are very empowering. We love listening to amazing women in business, empowering authors, and we hope that you come back on the Divas again.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you so much, Candace.
Thank you. And a big shout out to all of our listeners. Make sure that you check out Jessica's website. As I said, I'm going to be posting that on our social media. Go in there, get her book. You know, it will inspire and help so many women out there. And also make sure that you check out all of our other hosts on the divasthatcare.com. You know, we have so many amazing guests that have been on our program. Make sure that you support each and every one of them. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. Thanks to my amazing guest, Jessica Vriesen. And I hope that you have a fantastic day, everyone, and that you do something kind. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.